So you want to be sure that you watch out for this. If you notice that your parents are accumulating too many things, you can spend some time sorting through the mail is important to make sure the bills are paid. That's very important because they won't necessarily know to look for that and they won't necessarily open it right then. So you want to make sure that there's excess trash is thrown away. You can put stuff in a bag and take it out a little bit at a time. Um, I do remember a gentleman had as a client, he let his homeowner's insurance lapse, and lightning from a severe storm hit a tree next to his house, and the tree crashed onto the roof of his garage and did severe damage. It was that way for many months, which allowed rain to come in and therefore mold. His basement was so overcrowded with boxes of stuff that he didn't even know a window had been left open. And the water came in and created mold problems in the basement. And of course, when that got into the ventilation system, made him sick. They had to turn the air conditioning off till the matter could be fixed. We had 7 dumpsters to carry away just his unneeded or damaged possessions. And then his daughter got him settled into his assisted living facility, and immediately his health improved. But he kept hoarding in newspapers in his new place as well. So if the problem that caused the hoarding isn't addressed, then in all likelihood, the hoarding will continue. And I once had a home to sell where water wasn't coming out of the faucet in the kitchen. And the water company told me that the water hadn't been turned off. So my plumber turned on the main water valve and water poured everywhere out of the pipes in the basement. So we had to take care of that problem immediately so the home could be cleaned out. But needless to say, the water caused a lot of issues. And I had a client many years ago who was finally able to get into a nearby independent living facility. It took me several visits just to get in the front door. And she had a small space in her kitchen for her to eat, but the rest of the table and counters were stacked with papers. In her bedroom, half of the bed, which was a queen-size mattress, had papers and boxes and books and things on half of the bed. And her children didn't even know she had living room furniture because it was stacked with so much stuff. And once we cleaned out the home and renovated, I invited her children to visit so they could say goodbye. And they were so amazed at the difference and that their mom had so much space. And this was a woman who had stored gallon jars of liquid mercury in her basement. So this was a very difficult situation. And I had a crew cleaning out a 5-bedroom home so the couple could move into assisted living nearby. And when we cleaned the attic out, we discovered boxes of clothes that the owner had worn when she was pregnant many years before. And her son at that time was in his 40s. So the clothing had been in the attic for many years and had silverfish infestation. She couldn't bear to part with many items. And she kept things in storage bins for many years. And she pays monthly rent on them. She doesn't have a clue as to what's in the units, but her son is determined to empty out all of them. Just remember, books are a big concern for hoarders. I've had to move people who gave away 25 boxes of books, but still managed to take 20 boxes with them. Books can cost a lot to pack and move. Do you really need that many? I had one gentleman who was a retired general, and he had books about the war, World War II, completely surrounding him in his den. So we developed bookshelves for his new place. The hallways were very wide, and we put bookshelves all down the hall and into his new den, and he was able to take a lot of them. The rest of them he donated. One of my hoarder clients, I'll remember, had a love affair with 2 TV shopping channels. And she would buy the items and hang them in her closets. But when the closets filled up, she built more closets in the lower level of the house. And this house was 5,000 square feet, so she had quite a lot of room to expand. It was a challenge for her to give up items that still had price tags on them. She had purchased over time so many clothes she didn't even really remember what she had. And she was so surprised when we unearthed these clothes from the deep recesses of her closet. Another hoarder client I had collected everything, but being a child of the Depression, he had over 200 rolls of toilet paper in a closet in his home, just in case. An adult daughter called me to have me visit her mom's house. Her mom had recently passed, and the daughter wanted to sell the home. She took me downstairs. I literally had to move sideways slowly through a maze of boxes. It was difficult to see everything that was there, and most all the boxes and their contents had water damage and mold. And I told her there wasn't much she could salvage because the books were waterlogged and the clothing had mold on it. But we sold it to an investor, and she understood that there wasn't any use in going through the boxes because she was going to be inhaling the mold, and there wasn't anything of value. So what do you do if mom doesn't want to throw anything away? Well, the process of hoarding doesn't stop unless the root cause behind the hoarding is addressed and worked on. And you may have to call a licensed psychologist who can work with the hoarder to discover why the person hoards. And they use a technique called cognitive behavioral therapy. This type of therapy focuses on targeting the thought-based or cognitive causes of compulsive hoarding, and it can get at the root of the anxiety, and then they work to change the behavior. It's not an overnight cure, but you can get started on it, but it is a manifestation of a deeper emotional problem. Hoarding is now recognized as of 2013 by the American Psychiatric Association as a mental disorder, and therefore hoarders are a protected class. So if you are going to rent to someone and you have suspicions that they are a hoarder, you cannot discriminate against them. And just remember, hoarders will often hide their symptoms because they don't want to seek help. And a lot of times the adult children get frustrated when they visit mom or dad because they don't know how to relate to them. And often the hoarder can't afford the proper treatment. But you can log on to the International OCD Foundation website. They're located in Boston, Massachusetts, but you can search for a therapist in your area and talk to several of them so you feel comfortable working with whoever you choose. Some therapists are better at treating hoarders than others, so you want to ask a lot of questions. If the therapist is guarded or withholds information, you should look elsewhere. Ask them what techniques they use to treat OCD. Ask them about their training and background. Just remember, hoarders can backslide. The incidence is very high. 97% of them continue to hoard if the problem isn't treated. So you need to do that. After they get the psychological help they need, though, the next phase is to complete the physical cleanup of the home. And the family would be wise to hire a company that can handle the overwhelming task of cleaning out a property. Ones I work with know how to shake the pillow because jewelry falls out of the pillowcase, where hoarders will often stash things so that because they think they're hiding money, and been interesting places. I once had a hoarder house to clean out where the owner had a diamond ring hidden. Well, you could see the lump, but it was hidden under the living room carpet rug. And the executor had it appraised, and it was worth almost as much as the house was worth. So that'll give you an idea of what they hide. I had another one who had jewelry and precious jewels hidden in the sock drawer, inside the socks. So you really have to shake those National Geographics to make sure you don't have any silver certificates popping out. You have to really make sure you shake everything, look in every possible nook and cranny, because that's where you'll find the gems. Thanks for joining me, and I'll talk to you next time.